I would invite to the stage the CEO General Manager of Crawford Electric Cooperative, Mr. Tony Mallory. Let's welcome him, please.
Well, I tell you what, this is, it's been a couple years. We were putting this thing together. We almost had to kind of learn to walk again to remember how to do this, and then, add a few changes in there too. So I love this day. I really love this day. I got a lot of friends out there that I've known for many years. I saw my old high school teacher. I don't know if Mr. Cramey, if you're still out there or not. That was great. Meeting a lot of new friends. So, I asked, my stepdad is in the audience, and since it's been a couple of years, I said, you got any advice when I come up here? And he said, well, just make sure your pants are zipped up. So, he's big help, always a big help on there. So, appreciate that. It does take a lot of work to put this together. I don't do a lot of it. It's all the employees. And got a lot of them standing back there. Some of them are still out in the parking area out there. But if you could help me out, give my employees a big round of applause. Two things that, someone told me whenever I took over as CEO, said two things was, you're going to make mistakes, but just make sure they're not big mistakes. And I was thinking last night, first of all, I was thinking last night, and I was putting the finishing touches on here, what I was going to say. And I thought, you know what? You're between all these people and the grand prize. So you better keep it short. And in the words of one of our past directors that's passed on, Irvin Stubblefield, many of you know him, said, keep it short, buddy, keep it short. So I'm going to try and do that for you as much as I can. The other thing that I really noticed this morning, and you really sit there and say, boy, what was I thinking? I got this suit on, and we're giving people a bunch of sticks. So I don't run very good anymore, but hopefully I can stay in front of those that are chasing me after we're done here. So anyway, just a few comments that I'd like to share with you, and then we'll get to that prize. The past couple of years, since we haven't been able to have this in person, have been very hard years. Been years for the history books. When I took over as CEO, like I said back in 2015, I had that first day I had a lot of thoughts about what some of my challenges might be. Thinking about thunderstorms and ice storms and things like that. But a global pandemic that really never crossed my mind on there. And so, but here we are. But everyone and everything have been impacted in some way by the COVID-19 pandemic. Specifically here at Crawford Electric, despite our best efforts, several members of our workforce struggled with COVID, and we actually had one employee who was hospitalized for a long time and was quite ill. Didn't know how that was going to go for a while. Thankfully, he's back to work and back at his job, so that's great. Unfortunately, we did lose one of our trusted business partners to the virus, and he was a foreman for one of our right-of-way contractors, and we continue to miss him today, and we continue to pray for healing for his family on there. Today, it seems so long ago, but looking back while the world was shut down all around us in 2020, your co-op stayed open, actively working for you. We stayed open because we have to. We are a true 24/7, 365 provider. That's because our members are important to us, and because you depend on us to either keep the power flowing or to fix it safely and promptly whenever it does go out. We even had an annual meeting. It just happened to be up in cyberspace. So in my remarks that year, I focused on how your co-op had been resilient and innovative, and a source of reliability and stability for all of our communities. And it really is an all-day, everyday mission to keep your electric safe, and reliable, and affordable. Last year, we really had high hopes that we could hold this meeting in person like we are today. kind of hoping that maybe just 2020 was just kind of a one-and-done year, get past it and move on. We had already done a lot of the pre-planning, all the prep work for an in-person meeting, but then last summer in 2021, that what was it called, the Delta wave, I guess, came through, and everything kind of shot back up. And so after we thought about it, for everyone's health and safety, we just felt that we just couldn't have people in a big group like this. It just wasn't safe for you folks and for our employees. But we relied on early voting options, and that was for the member participation, and we actually held an annual meeting, but it was virtually. And that was last year, so you, the members, we responded in a huge way. Last year we had the biggest voter turnout in the last 25 years. That was great. I think, don't quote me, it was like 1,700 votes or something like that. And if I did my calculations right, when Sean was reading the totals, I don't know, 2,200, 23, somewhere in there. So even bigger this year. So that's a great thing. And that was all of last year. The participation was in a year where we didn't have as many candidates either. So I think that tells me that members want to be active in their cooperative. And I'm certainly glad that we're able to provide that opportunity for everyone. So what have we done for the last couple of years since we last saw each other? We may have had to adapt to our environment a little bit and navigate several pitfalls along the way, but your co-op worked hard to do what we always do, and that is to continue to build and maintain a strong electric system that we all rely on. And thank goodness we did, because moving forward a little bit, in the winter of 2021, February 2021, what was it? It was that the infamous polar vortex. You may remember that was a week of sub-zero temperatures across Missouri and a big portion of the United States, Minnesota, all the way down to the coast of Texas and everywhere in between. And it wasn't just regular cold or normal cold, it was beyond cold, and it was cold for a long time. And you also may recall that at that time we asked our members, we asked you to conserve electricity where possible. And again, you, the members, responded in a big way. And we thank you for your efforts, as it did help us prevent any rolling blackouts at that time. So now let's fast forward to today, 2022. This is our 82nd annual meeting of the members. And for more than 80 years, your co-op has had the same mission: to supply you with safe, reliable, affordable electricity. That's our main mission. Every generation is faced with unique challenges to try and reach that mission. Just in my tenure with Crawford Electric, like I said, I started as CEO in 2015. I've been here since, I've been here a long time. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to get into the age thing. But been here for a long time. I can remember back when I first started that the big issues used to be mainly about working on our rights-of-ways and maintaining our system. It seemed that we had too many trees growing in the lines. We had lots of old poles, weak wire, too many outages. And sometimes the biggest issue of the day was just getting access to build a new service. So while we're still not perfect, we've made great strides in all those fronts over the last 20 years. And while these are certainly still concerns every day, I believe that we have done the right things for the right reasons to strengthen our system and improve your power quality. Our most recent member survey last year confirms that you all recognize that we have made improvements there. But we certainly don't want to rest on our laurels. Be assured that our mission continues. In fact, we try to stay ahead of and anticipate most issues as much as possible, or at least to the extent that we can. So, the world gets smaller and smaller every day. It seems like it anyway. And so the concerns of today seem to be mostly about bigger picture things that we really didn't even consider or worry about years ago. Many Americans, including most of you here today, I'm sure are arguing both for and against many of the same things. Climate change, fossil fuels, the digital divide, inflation, renewable energy, interest rates, electric cars, the list goes on and on. Big ticket items. And employees and directors at your local electric cooperative are certainly aware of and debate these, same picture, big picture things. In fact, you just elected one new director, and she is going to probably feel like she's drinking from a fire hose for a little bit just to get up to speed on the issues that we face on a daily basis. And, I think I can say this because since I've been at the co-op as CEO and before, every new director that comes onto the board, I think pretty much says the same thing. And I think the current directors will say this, and Ms. Morrow, I bet she'll say the same thing, but I can almost quote it perfectly, is, wow, I never knew there was this much to being a director of an electric cooperative. There's a lot to do there. Now, it's important to recognize that your co-op is actively working to navigate these murky waters, and our focus always is to steer a clear path that cuts through any of the potential negative impacts. We want to control what we can and be ready or prepare for what we can't. We want to make sure that nothing will hamper in our ability to deliver on that mission to you. I have an example. Crawford Electric does not control interest rates. You don't control interest rates. I don't control interest rates. But we can take action to prepare for the unexpected higher rates, and we have. One thing that we've been doing in the last year or so was to actively manage our debt portfolio. And this is to take advantage of the historically low interest rates at the time. We made some moves well in advance of the rise of interest rates that we're now seeing. And we believe that this gives us some financial strength and flexibility going forward. And hope is that these moves will help delay or at least mitigate electricity rate pressures in the future. One more example, I know that many of you have been concerned this year about the possibility of rolling blackouts. In fact, there was an industry regulator that put out a report earlier this year, and it warned of pending trouble on the grid. And that report got a lot of attention from the media, the national media, and it got your attention too. We heard from a lot of members asking about it. It also didn't help that along the way we had a long, strong heat wave back in early June, if you remember that. And that put a lot of strains on Missouri's cooperative system, and it was much earlier than we expected, and that was the problem. Our power generation partner, Associated Electric Cooperative, does a great job of anticipating problems and mitigating risk and performing the preventative maintenance on all the diverse generation assets that they have. All power plants have to be taken down for maintenance at some point in time, and the usual time to take a plant down is either in the spring or maybe in the fall, and that's because that's when the temperatures moderate, like we have today, nicer weather, and the demand for power typically goes down. And so when that early heat wave hit, about a month earlier or so, that was right before all those repairs were complete on the units that they had down. So there was a little bit of concern, I'll be honest with you, but we made it through it there. The good news is there were not any power supply blackouts this summer in Missouri, just like there weren't any in 2021 during the polar vortex, because your Missouri Electric Cooperative system is strong. So saying that, you might ask, does that guarantee that there won't be any issues in the future? And unfortunately, the answer is no. I can't guarantee that. Just like I can't predict the weather, I can't predict how nationwide interconnected power supply networks are going to perform this winter or next summer or years past that. There are situations when problems elsewhere, such as Texas or California, other states around us, that can cause disruption for us, even if we're in a good shape. But what I can predict is that Missouri's electric cooperatives will take care of our members. As we've done for 82 years, Crawford Electric will do all in our power to keep your electric safe, reliable, and affordable. As I mentioned before, it's a 24/7 task. Not only must we monitor and strengthen our local delivery system, we must monitor the wider landscape. And actions in Jefferson City, whichever direction that's at, Jefferson City or Washington, D.C., can have a direct impact on you, and you need to be aware of that now more than ever. Crawford Electric supports an all-of-the-above approach to power supply. We think that all sources of power have a seat at the table. Those calling for an all-out rush to eliminate fossil fuel electricity generation are just not seeing some of the realities. Alternative energy is not a replacement energy, at least not at this time. There must be the right technology and lots of new transmission to support renewable energy grid. And those things don't exist now, at least not in a way that we can count on them for consistent power supply. But I think they will in time. It just needs to be the right time. The reliability and affordability of your electric service is just too important to do anything risky, like set arbitrary deadlines that some politicians seem to want to do with no regard for the people that they serve. And that's again why I say that the best place for you to be is to be a member of a local electric cooperative, especially one in Missouri, and most especially at Crawford Electric, at this one right here. So thank you very much.